All right, today we're going to go way beyond just motivation. We're diving deep into a powerful framework for building a truly meaningful life, a legacy that lasts. So, if you're ready to get past all the usual self-help talk and get to the real core of what it takes to build something timeless, you are absolutely in the right place. Let's get into it.
So, let me start with a question that kind of flips everything we've been told upside down. We're always told, wait for inspiration. Wait until you feel motivated to act. But what if that's completely backwards? What if the simple act of doing something is the thing that actually creates the motivation you were waiting for? Just keep that in your back pocket as we go.
So, where do we start? Well, our journey begins with the absolute foundation for everything else, your internal mindset. Before you can build anything out there in the world, you first have to rewire how you think about action, inspiration, and, maybe most importantly, failure.
And this slide just lays it out so clearly. On the left, you've got the trap that so many of us fall into. We sit around waiting for some bolt of inspiration, hoping it turns into motivation, and then finally, maybe we take action. But the real path, the one that builds a legacy, it's on the right. It starts with action. Any action. That action then sparks a little inspiration, which builds into real, sustainable motivation. You see, action is the spark, not the end result.
And this brings us to this incredibly simple but powerful rule, the do something principle. If you feel stuck, if you have no idea where to even begin, just do something. Anything. Write one sentence, send one email. That one tiny initial action is often all it takes to kick off that whole chain reaction of inspiration and motivation. Okay, so if it's that easy, why isn't everyone doing it, right? What's the one huge roadblock that stops us from just doing something? Well, it almost always comes down to one thing, that deep, paralyzing fear of failure. So what this really means is we have to completely change how we think about failure. We got to stop seeing it as some kind of dead end. Instead, think of it as just data. Success isn't about perfectly avoiding failure. It's a direct result of the sheer volume of your attempts. You need to be willing to embrace a ton of so-called failures. Think about it like this. When you go to the gym, the physical stress on your muscles is what makes them grow stronger. Well, the emotional pain from setbacks, it does the exact same thing for your resilience and your character. There's this great story about Picasso that just nails this idea of accumulated effort. So Picasso, late in his life, is sitting at a cafe. A woman sees him, and she's a huge fan, and she asks him if he would please sketch something for her on a napkin. And he does. He whips up this beautiful little drawing. When he tells her the price, though, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars, she's totally shocked. She says, "But that only took you 2 minutes." And his reply, "Well, it's just perfect." He says, "No, it took me 60 years. You see, that masterpiece on the napkin wasn't about 2 minutes of work. It was the sum total of 6 decades of practice, of thousands and thousands of attempts and failures that built his mastery."
All right, so once you've got that internal engine humming, that action-first mindset, what's next? Well, now we move outward to your interpersonal strategy. This is all about how you build truly unbreakable bonds with other people.
Building those rock-solid connections, the ones that really support your legacy, it really comes down to these 4 pillars. Now, they might sound a little intense, I get it, but they are absolutely crucial for creating relationships that are built on truth and respect, not just convenience.
Look, mastering rejection isn't just about saying no to stuff you don't want to do. Every single no you say to a distraction is actually a powerful yes to your real mission. It's how you define who you are and what you stand for. And it's the same with raw honesty. Yeah, it can be uncomfortable sometimes, but it builds relationships that are basically shatterproof because everyone knows exactly where they stand with you.
And that flows right into boundaries. You see, a healthy relationship, whether it's in business or your personal life, is not about 2 people trying to fix each other. It's not that toxic victim and savior game. It's about 2 whole, independent people who are solving their own problems, which makes them strong enough to be together.
And this might sound a little crazy, but conflict isn't the enemy here. It's actually the test. Easy times don't show you who's loyal. It's during the tough times, during a disagreement, that you really find out who is unconditionally on your team and who is just kind of along for the smooth ride.
So, you've got your internal mindset dialed in. You've got your strategy for dealing with people. Now for the big one, the final piece of the puzzle, connecting all of that action and all of those relationships to your ultimate purpose. How do you actually design a legacy that will stand the test of time? We're sold this idea, right? That freedom means having a million options, keeping all your doors open. But real freedom, the kind that leads to real impact, It's the exact opposite. It comes from commitment. It comes from saying no to all the distractions and choosing to go deep on one thing, one craft, one mission, one key relationship. That's where you find mastery.
So how on earth do you find that kind of focus in a world that's just screaming for your attention? Well, here's a wild thought. What if the single most powerful tool for cutting through all that noise is to just squarely face the fact that you're not going to be here forever?
You know, there's this philosopher, Ernest Becker, who came up with a really cool term for this: immortality projects. It's this deep, primal drive that we all have to create something that's going to outlast us. We want to leave a mark on the world, whether that's through art, or a business, or raising a family, or just a powerful idea. It's our answer to being temporary.
And just look at the difference here on this table. It's night and day. On one side, without that awareness of mortality, we get tangled up in all the superficial stuff. We're afraid of what people think, we're chasing status and likes. But when you truly accept that your time is finite, everything shifts. You get this sense of urgency, and your focus just snaps to what really matters, building something with lasting impact.
And that's really what it all boils down to, isn't it? The key to a life that actually means something, a life that builds a legacy, it isn't about you. It's about finding and pouring your energy into something that is so much bigger than your own ego, your own fears, your own little desires.
And this is maybe the most important idea of all. The antidote to a life of anxiety and chasing the wrong things isn't to pretend you're invincible. It's the opposite. It's to fully embrace how fragile and temporary you are. Because the moment you get comfortable with your own ending, you are finally truly free. Free to choose values that are real, that are pure, and that actually matter.
So, as we wrap up, I just want to leave you with this one big question to think about. After all this, from the power of one tiny action to the clarity that comes from facing our biggest fear, what will your legacy be built on?